Revealing a little secret love of a glockenspiel with this copyright free music. I do love a good glockenspiel, just seems to elevate even the shittest song. Entirely sure that I like the strange moaning though. Huh! Suppose we better get on with it, eh? Better get on with it. You know what I mean? Well, hello and welcome into this Tuesday's entertainment news. I've still got the headphones on. I'm appreciating the copyright-free music so much I couldn't even take the headphones off. Not for a moment. Welcome into entertainment news. This is Jonathan C. Walsh here to discuss all of the latest happenings in the world of entertainment. And on this particular day, it's Oscars 2023. Buzz nominations which are dominating the headlines. And as you have probably seen on the thumbnail, one Michelle Yeoh of Everything, Everywhere, All at Once, making history as the first self-identified Asian actress to be nominated in the top category. I am slightly concerned that the topics are not coming up. They're coming up now. I have addressed it. Michelle Yeoh makes history as the 2023 Oscar nominations drop off. Obviously, Everything Everywhere All at Once, a movie that me and Stephen have just recently did a watch along to. Both really enjoyed it. I rated it very highly indeed. Delighted to see that this zany, eccentric, different multiversal story with a real heart and emotion at the centre of it is getting so much love and so much nominations from the Academy. It's not the type of movie that would immediately stand out to me as being a potential 11 nominee laden movie, but it has got the nominations. I'm going to go through them, but I'm going to start with this first and foremost, coming in from Deadline, this article, and it's obviously got your leading trio from the aforementioned movie out, giving their sort of reactions to the nominations, giving their thoughts at making history, because of course Stephanie Hjo, I can never say her name, I meant to search up the pronunciation of that before I came on. She's kind of made history as well. She's fallen in the footsteps of Michelle, very young actress, still only 32, a year younger than me. She's been nominated too, and look, I will go through the nominations category by category, because I am that kind of anal, strange kind of person who likes to do things like that. I've not seen a sizable amount of the movies yet, but I will endeavour to sort that out over the course of the next couple of weeks leading up to the actual Oscar ceremony. But yeah, I'm going to get into this first. Michelle Yeoh was out speaking, if that's how you say her name. I presume it is. It's not the most difficult name to pronounce. She, as you can see, in that moment, Yeoh made history as the first self-identifying Asian lead actress nominee in Academy history. Merrily Oberon was nominated in 1939 for The Dark Angel, but her heritage was concealed. That's a sad and damning indictment of film going back 70, 80 years ago, 90 years ago, that actresses, actors had to conceal their ethnicity, their heritage, to perhaps get a look in at these award shows. And look, I'm going to be getting into that, into the whole diversity thing. There has been some hashtags trending on social media, which I don't really agree with in this instance. But yeah, man, look, Michelle Yeoh, she was speaking with Deadline following the news today. I think it was 5:30am Pacific time, United States, roughly about 1 in the afternoon, maybe 2 in the afternoon our time. The nominations dropped, and this is what the woman had to say. A woman that me and Stephen have been well aware of for over 20 years now. Fabulous actor, fabulous sort of, I was about to call a stunt woman. She wasn't really a stunt woman though, she was just someone who's able to perform martial arts on screen. We've seen her in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. That's what I'm getting at, really. It goes back that far for me. I don't know about Stephen, it may go back further for him. So big fans of this woman, and delighted to see that she is getting acclaim. This is what she had to say. I think what it means to me is all those Asians out there go, you see, it's possible. If she can do it, I can freaking well do it as well. That's the most important thing. I'm very ordinary. You're also very humble. You're not ordinary at all, Michelle. I just work very hard. There's so many brilliant actresses, actors out there who know that they have a seat at the table. All they have to do is find an opportunity and get there. And obviously Ki Hai Kwan as well, a man been out of show business for 20 odd years. Watched his stunning sort of contribution to the Actors Round Table, and that was one of the main things he was sort of outlining his journey. The fact that he couldn't get a job as an Asian actor, the fact that he felt he was left out in the cold, he had to go behind the camera to stay in contact with the industry he loved. And now he was getting all this acclaim, he was getting this love after being given a chance. And it's something you're seeing being echoed with these sort of terrific three actors from this movie who are now getting the limelight and getting the nominations they deserve. I'm not going to sit here and read all of this. Basically just her outlining her experience leading up to the nominations, some self-doubt in there, but needless to say, she has been nominated. She is the first self-identifying Asian actress to net a nomination. I fundamentally believe she will win that award. Saying that, you have got Kate Blanchett in there for Tar, so she may spoil the party. She may be a party pooper, but she's got a great shout of potentially winning. And I've got my fingers crossed for I've not seen Tar yet, so I'm just rooting for Everything Everywhere All at Once. So much so I can't even say the name of the movie. I don't know what I said there, but it wasn't Everything Everywhere All at Once. I'm rooting for her, that's what I'm saying. I'm also rooting for Stephanie Hyo, if that's how you say her name, because I thought she was absolutely fantastic playing this multifaceted villainous come daughter character. And just what she represented in the movie was every bit as poignant and as special as what the Michelle Yeoh Evelyn character represented. Evelyn almost also channeling Wei Wong's words of wisdom. Choose love, choose, I can't recall the actual word he used, but choose kindness. Be kind. And that was also the downfall of the evil of the Tupaki character, the villain in that. But they were both hugely important to the story, and I thought what Stephanie Hyo brought to that role, all the different colourful outfits, they were superficially great to look at, superficially showing you the different sides of this multiversal villain. But then what was going on below the surface, some of the best stuff happened in the last 25-30 minutes for me in that movie, and it was just quiet little moments, introspective moments, glances between Evelyn and Tupaki, or joy maybe seeping out of that character. Some stunning acting in there, and for such a young actor, I mean, I know there's been younger ones in recent years, like of Saoirse Ronan coming through, but she's still a relatively young actor, Stephanie, and I thought she'd done a really, really good job, so I'm not surprised to see she was nominated. and this is her thoughts on it. She probably thought I was a tech-obsessed millennial who couldn't be off her phone. This was her detailing her journey as well to finding out she was nominated. She was on a phone, like a plane landing into LA, I believe. Phone, or the Wi-Fi system, crashed on the plane. She asked for it to be reset. She was furiously trying to keep up with the updates. This is what she actually said though about Yala co-star making nomination history. It said this: every card that's ever been stacked against me has been stacked against her tenfold. And to be able to get to experience this together feels like some cycles are breaking, you know. Some patterns are breaking, and I feel really honoured to be alongside her and alongside all the principal cast in our movie. And with so much of our crew, there should be different ways in which we measure success in art, but for people who have been unseen, it's major that in 95 years Michelle's the first. That's a big deal. It's astonishing that it's took nearly 100 years for an Asian actor to be recognised at the sort of pinnacle of movie awards, or pinnacle of movie celebration of excellence, if you'd like. I can't think of the actual English just now, my brain's seizing up, clearly. It's mad to think it's took nearly 100 years for them to be recognised in this way. There's been some truly stunning actors over the last 90 odd years, I'm absolutely certain of it. Certainly the last 30 odd years who deserve more, haven't got it. But times are changing, as Bob Dylan once famously sung. And Ki Hai Kwan also has been out speaking. I don't know if this is a direct quote post-nominations. He has been doing a lot of speaking, Ki, to be fair, over the last 2 weeks or so, leading into the Golden Globes, leading into the other one, the Brendan Fraser won it, because he didn't go to the Golden Globes. He's been doing a lot of speaking. He's been on round tables. Really inspirational guy, without repeating myself. I've really enjoyed this guy's sort of rise to prominence again, and just hearing these words of wisdom. He's a really cool dude, and I'm delighted to see him getting his moment in the light as well. This is what he had to say. I remember. I hope it's an extended moment. I hope this isn't it for him. Hopefully he continues to grow from strength to strength, and we get more brilliant performances we were robbed of for the last 20 odd years. That's what he had to say. I remember thinking we would be lucky if we made our budget back. We didn't even have the award season on our minds. It's like, we're getting nominated. Is that even possible? It's just this little movie that could. I'm so thrilled. Well, I mean, I think that speaks volumes for Ki. He's so humble that he doesn't even think of himself in that moment of triumph getting nominated at the Academy Awards. He thinks of the movie, he thinks of the ensemble, he thinks of the cast of this little movie, as he puts it, that no one really anticipated would have the level of success it had. I remember hearing about this movie 5-6 months ago. People wetting themselves with excitement, wetting themselves over the brilliance of the story, speaking about it in the context of Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness, a huge Marvel movie coming out with a similar sandbox, if you'd like, and saying this is how it's done correctly. This is a brilliant movie. I kept hearing it again and again. Word of mouth was great. I don't know why it's took me so long to actually get round to watch this. I think that speaks volumes about how busy we are on this channel at times in terms of content. We lose track of a lot of stuff. Certainly Western films over the last 2 years have been lost to the annals of time. But we finally watched it, and I totally get what he's saying. This is almost like what I would imagine Star Wars was like 30-40 years ago. No one would have took it seriously initially. It sounded like such a stupid concept. Bagels sucking everything in existence into their innards, almost like a black hole. All of these mental things happening. Hot dog hands. People trying to jump onto awards at the IRS headquarters to obtain powers from a multiversal version of themselves. It's not something that sounds like it's going to resonate with a wide audience. It's going to resonate with stuffy critics and the people who choose these things at the Academy and other organisations. It's not a concept that's got any right working to the levels that it has ultimately worked to. Terrible English. And look, man, hats off to everyone involved. I thought the director's done a brilliant job. Just ensemble in general, even the little bald guy, security guard, he was a real standout in this. Obviously, Jamie Lee Curtis. I'm going to get into the nominations just now, incidentally, in general. It was a real brilliant performance behind and in front of the camera to make this movie so special. I really, really enjoyed it without repeating myself, and I'm so glad to see that not just Michelle's making history, but that this movie is the most award laden at this year's awards. And I'm going to get into the actual nominations themselves. I was going to go through the official website, but I don't know, there's something so bare bones about it. And as much as I do enjoy that font, and I do, I prefer the Financial Times little setup here, where we almost get little snippets below entailing what the movies themselves and the actors themselves have done to obtain these nominations. All Quiet on the Western Front speaks for itself. World War I movie detailing a young German soldier going through the highs and the lows of war, and also based off of an award-winning novel. As you can see here, German language adaptation of Erich Maria Remarque's first World War novel. This is a Netflix movie. I have not seen it yet. We reacted to the trailer, was blown away by the trailer. I'm absolutely going to watch this. This is one that's definitely getting looked at. It's a dark horse, this movie. By all accounts, people who have seen it saying this is a potential upset in the making in multiple categories. 9 nominations for this movie. I'm delighted for this. I love World War 1 and 2 as an era. Obviously a dark, troubling time for humanity. It's not something that I love in the sense that I'm glad it happened and millions of lives were lost. But just, as I've said time and again, in the darkest, deepest recesses of human history comes the most beautiful things. It's sort of singular experiences that individuals have can create some of the most majestic art in form of paintings, poems, stories, film. It sprouts out of it, almost like a poppy sprouting out of a field in France. And this is certainly what we got with this, man. In the deepest, darkest recesses, you've got this novel. It's been adapted twice to the silver screen. It likes a Tolkien creating the Lord of the Rings through World War One and obviously World War Two. So I'm glad to see this lesser known part of human history in terms of the Great Wars getting its recognition, getting some brilliant movies made about it. Also following in the footsteps of 1917 or 18, I always fuck that up. The Sam Mendes movie with Your Man and George Mackay. Really enjoyed that movie as well. Glad to see this era getting some love. And glad to see it get nominated. Avatar: The Way of Water, I'm not long out the theatres watching this. It was about a week and a half ago I seen this movie. I'm not going to lie, I'm surprised this got a Best Picture nomination. Just purely for the fact that in terms of the actual movies, overall sort of content, what it's given to the viewer, it's not the best movie I've seen in my entire life, and certainly the movies I've seen over the course of the last calendar year, the likes of The Northman, The Banshees of Inisherin, Everything Everywhere All at Once, as a story it's not on their level, but I understand why it's been nominated. Technical mastery, and it has got an interesting little humanistic story at its core, but just, it's James Cameron. You can't not nominate James Cameron's work, and what it's doing at the box office is stunning. So I'm glad to see it get nominated, despite what some of the haters are saying on social media. Banshees of Inisherin comes in as well. Love this movie. Mark Madonna, I think that's how you say his name. Colin Farrell, Brendan Gleeson, reuniting after In Bruges. Brilliant little Irish dark comedy. Just a fantastic movie. Glad to see it get nominated. Elvis is another one. Very long biopic. Really enjoyed it though, it has to be said. Really enjoyed Austin Butler's performance. And bemused with the shit this guy gets for his accent still remaining. This guy was in character for 2 years. It's nominated. Everything Everywhere All at Once you spoke about. The Fableman, Steven Spielberg nominated. Top Gun Maverick, this is the big one. Everyone's kicking just now. In film circles, the snobs are out for this movie. This is a blockbuster sequel. What's this doing? Getting nominated for a Best Picture at the Academy Awards. It's not good enough. You should nominate something else. Maybe one with a female director. I say fuck you to that, because this is one of the best movies of the last year and it fully deserves to be there. It's a brilliant story. It's a surprise hit. For me it's better than the original. It's a brilliant movie, man. It fully deserves to be in there. Tar I've not seen yet, I think it's just come out. Really looking forward to seeing this. It's Kate Blanchett at her absolute best. It's a biopic about a troubled, brilliant conductor. Not seen this one either, Triangle of Sadness. Women Talking, I think this is a female-directed movie which is in at the Best Picture category. 1 of 8, I believe. So it's a strong category this year. But realistically for me, it probably is a 2-horse race. Maybe a 3-horse race, but I reckon a 2-horse race. I'll go a 3-horse. For me, it's a 3-horse between Everything Everywhere All at Once, Tar, and can you leave out a Steven Spielberg movie? I'll go a 4-horse race. I've changed my mind. Tar, Everything Everywhere All at Once, The Fabelmans, and Banshees of Inisherin. I think it's a 4-horse race. I want Everything Everywhere All at Once to win. Best actor, Austin Butler's in there. Colin Farrell's in there for Banshees of Inisherin. Brendan Fraser, The Whale. Paul Mescal, an Irish actor, playing a Scotsman in a movie. How the fuck did that happen? It did, and I'm glad it did. Bill Nye, everyone loves Bill Nye. For me, this is a 2-horse race. It's Austin Butler, it's Brendan Fraser. But you can't ever write off Colin Farrell as well. Colin may sneak in there and be a little party pooper. He may jump in and shit in the rain in the parade. Again, I thought his performance in that movie was stunning. This man had lost ties with his one true friend in this really close-knit community in a desolate, isolated Irish island, and I just thought he was magnificent. Martin McDonagh seems to bring the best out in Colin Farrell. Brendan Gleeson seems to bring the best out in Colin Farrell. I thought Colin was absolutely stunning in this. I've not seen The Whale yet, but everyone's saying Brendan was unbelievable. So for me, it's probably a 3-horse race. But realistically, if you were to twist my finger, I'd probably go with Brendan for that one, just because of the story. And let's be honest, the Oscars is it's almost like an award. It's like a reality TV show in its own right now, isn't it? It's as much about the story as the actual performances of the actors, the creative brilliance of the movies themselves. Best Actress, another strong category, again probably dominated by 2 people realistically. Cate Blanchett's in there for Tar, Ana de Armas, Bond, Andrea Riseborough. This is a strange one. She seemed to self-campaign and get herself promoted into an award, not a nomination at the Academy Awards. Michelle Williams is in there, The Fabelmans. Michelle Yeoh. I think this is between Yeoh and Blanchett, and I want Yeoh to win, just because I thought she's brilliant. What it would mean again in terms of the actual story. First Asian actress self-identifying in 95 years to be nominated at the Academy Awards. It would be stunning for her to pick up that win. I'm going to start whizzing through these because it is taking longer than I thought it would, I'm not going to lie. The Best Director, Daniel Kwan, Daniel Scheinert, Everything Everywhere All at Once. As you spoke, I waxed lyrical about these 2 guys. I thought they'd done an utterly phenomenal job in making this movie what it was, bringing it into the universe, if you like. It shouldn't have worked, but it did work, and I think a large part of that is down to their screenplay and down to their directing skills. So I'd love to see them winning, I'm not going to lie. Martin McDonagh, I love Martin, watched all his movies, he's brilliant. It was a great movie. I don't think he's going to win though. Ruben Östlund, I believe that is, Triangle of Sadness. Todd Field for Tar, Steven Spielberg for The Fabelmans. Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Realistically, I'd like to see the 2 Daniels win for Everything Everywhere All at Once, but you can't deny Steven Spielberg, or maybe even Martin McDonagh, a bit of glory. Let's be honest, it'd be hard to feel upset if either of them won. I'm going to jump over to this website briefly and just detail the other categories before I move on swiftly to detail RRR and its nomination at this year's awards, and what perhaps could have been more nominations for RRR. In fact, I'll get into that here as I go through this list. Actor in supporting role, Brendan Gleeson. Brian Tyree Henry, brilliant story for Brian, multifaceted actor, great range. Nominated for Causeway. Jude Hirsch, Barry Keoghan, Ke Huy Quan. Now for me, I want to see Ke Huy Quan win this because I just love the guy. His interviews over the last couple of weeks have been brilliant, but again, I would find it hard to give someone like Barry Keoghan the love if he got the win. This is a guy whose story is inspiring. Lost his mother in 2003, went through multiple foster homes, care homes, took a chance on an ad in some Dublin window, I think, got the role, became an actor. Now he's nominated at the Academy Awards. What a story that is. What a brilliant young actor he is as well. Man's only 30 years of age, 31 years of age. The world is his oyster, if you'd like. Be difficult to deny him some love if he won. Realistically, they're all great, man. But for me, Ke Huy Quan, I want to win. Actress in the leading role, I've spoke about this. Actress in a supporting role, for me, I mean, I want Stephanie Sho to win this, or Jamie Lee Curtis. I thought Jamie Lee actually delivered an under the radar brilliant performance in that movie. Certainly the hot dog fingered universal version of her was strangely quite touching. Her relationship with Evelyn in that universe was bizarre, but it seemed to work. And the way we melded with this character, when she first came on the screen, she was quite hard-nosed, quite unlikable. And where she ultimately was at the end of the movie, it was some journey for Jamie Lee Curtis. A surprise to see her in there, I'm not going to lie. But for me, Stephanie Sho, for all the reasons I mentioned earlier, playing this multiversal version of herself in the movie, not of herself, but as of Joy, the villain, the sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? The juxtaposition of her as the daughter and Tupaki, the villain. I thought that was really interesting, a great performance from a young actress. I'm going to ditch that one, I don't really know anything about that. Cinematography, you've got All Quiet on the Western Front, Bardo, False Chronicles of a Handful of Truths, Elvis, Empire of Light, Tar. Now for me, I don't see how RRR can't get a nomination in that category. I find that mind-blowing. What they did in that movie was incredible on a technical level. Cinematography was stunning. Why is The Batman not nominated in cinematography? It was a stunningly short movie. The city of Gotham almost was a character, as it usually is in a Batman movie. Really dark, really grimy, really atmospheric. Moan City's in there at the end. Why is that not there? Strange. For me, it can really only be All Quiet on the Western Front, this one. Just studying World War One. I've not even seen the movie, and I'm saying that. Tar could potentially win. It does look like quite an interesting artistic movie. But yeah, some strange emissions in that category. Some interesting choices, to say the least. I'm not going to do that. I'm not really interested. No harm to them in costume design. Although Everything Everywhere All at Once again, just for the Tupaki character, the incredible outfit she has, from a golfer suit to a sort of Hispanic dancer. There's just some weird and wondrous outfits. For that alone, I think it should win for costume design. Directing, already did that. I don't really care about any of this. Film editing, fair play to them, but I'm not going to go through it. International feature film was a big one for me. RRR not nominated. Really strange decision. Also, it won a Golden Globe for Best Foreign Language Film. I'm not doing down the other movies that are in here, but I just find it really bemusing how RRR, as an experience, with all the buzz it's got, isn't in here. Again, this is supposed to be an Academy Awards dominated by blockbusters, by mainstream movies, the likes of Top Gun, Avatar, Everything Everywhere All at Once to an extent. But they can't continue that theme into the foreign language international feature film category and give RRR some love. Strange one for me. Fully deserved to be at least nominated. Even if it doesn't win, again, All Quiet on the Western Front will probably win that one, if we're being honest. But at least give it a nomination. Strange one for me. One of the best movies of last year, in multiple levels. Makeup and hairstyling, probably Elvis, isn't it, realistically, but it could be The Whale. Yeah, I take that back, The Whale. Brendan Fraser being turned into a half a ton man. He's got to get some loving. The Batman's in there though, and I do love The Batman as a movie, and if this is all it can get in terms of love at the Oscars, then I may like to see that pip. But it is what it is. I've not got any fucking choice in the matter. I'm not part of the Academy. I'm just some shit kicker giving my opinions on the internet. Music original score, some interesting ones in here. Where is the Batman? Again, what a score that was. John Williams nominated, the oldest nominee at the Academy Awards. Man's in his mid-80s, knocking on 90. He's working with Spielberg again. What a successful collaboration that's been over both careers. The Fableman's a really interesting movie, this coming of age. Need to see it. Just to hear John Williams score alone. Great to see John in there. Banshees of Inisherin, I really enjoyed that score too. I thought that was great. Everything Everywhere All at Once. Sean Locke's done a magnificent job with that score. Some really brilliant... This is a Chinese movie. I'm pretty sure this is a Chinese origin movie. There was Mandarin getting spoke. I always like to walk trepidatiously, if you like, when I say things like that, because I don't want to come across as being ignorant, and I discover it's not a fucking Chinese sort of movie. I know it's an American movie first and foremost, but some really inspirational stuff in terms of score work going on in there, instruments, brilliant little moments that added so much to the actual film musical moments. And I thought Sunlock's done a superb job. I've not seen All Quiet on the Western Front, but certainly from the trailer. Interesting. It's a strong category, man. But it'd be hard to deny John Williams a potential Oscar, but at the same time I want to see Sunlock's winning because I loved that score so much. Where's the Batman? Where the fuck is it? Again. Original song, I mean, this is an easy win for RRR's Naatu Naatu for me. I am biased because I really, really did enjoy Naatu Naatu. It was such a huge part of the movie in terms of soul, in terms of what it was conveying to the audience about these two guys, their relationship, and really just backing down ignorance, backing down these misconceptions about Indians from the sort of British settlers, if you'd like. Really, really good song, and just for the dancing alone, I'd like to see this get this nomination win. And I don't know if it'd be the first. I think it is. I think it's the first Indian song from an Indian movie. I think we had a song from Slumdog Millionaire get nominated, but it wasn't. That was a British movie. That was a Danny Boyle movie, I believe. So this would be the first Indian nominated song to ever, maybe first Indian nominated thing at the Oscars to win. So that'd be such a huge moment for Indian cinema, and I want to see Naatu Naatu winning. Did Best Picture. I think this is really hit in terms of overall big categories anyway. Sound, I mean, the Batman again, fucking sound was great. I don't know, man, it could be any one of them realistically. You could sit here and go through them all. Visual effects, it's got to be Avatar. Something has to be Avatar. There can't be any other winner there. What James Cameron and his team did on that movie was astonishing. One of the best cinematic experiences I've had in my life. Watching that with the 3D. This man should be in charge of 3D across the board. Because, yes, it's gimmicky. Yes, it's probably unnecessary, but it does add something. It definitely does add something to Pandora and the Na'vi in that story. And just the visual effects, the water, just the way they created this world, it was stunning. Incredible. That has to win. The writing stuff's interesting too. I didn't realise Glass Onion was an adapted screenplay. I thought that was an original screenplay. What has Ryan Johnson adapted for this? Is he took a novel and gained inspiration from it? I found that weird when that came out. Adapted screenplay, I'd like to see Top Gun Maverick getting some love. I really enjoyed that movie. For me, that has to be the winner for me personally. Most people will probably say something like Women Talking, just because of the what it's about. Sort of women living, I believe, with abuse and being raped and stuff like that in America. I think that's what the story's about. That's probably the one that most people want to win. All Quiet on the Western Front. For me, Top Gun is the one I want to win. Original screenplay, it could be any one of them. Again, I just want to see everything everywhere all at once, cleaning the board, because I really enjoyed the movie. And all in all, man, I've got no real gripes. There is some interesting omissions, but there's always snubs at the Oscars. I've got an article up here, the winners, the losers. I'm not going to even go into it, because needless to say, there's always losers at the Oscars. There is always winners at the Oscars, and there is always bitches whining about the Oscars and what they're doing wrong. And they can't just, I was going to quickly just bring this up because I'm giving an absolute nonsense here and I've not even changed the topic. This is realistically what I'm talking about. It's generic Oscars 2023 nominations chat. I've moved on from the Michelle Yeoh history making stuff. Just people are not happy unless they're whinging, they're moaning about something. And in this case it's, oh my god, female directors are shut out of the Oscars for 2023. Shut out again. Failing to forget they won the last two fucking best directors at previous award ceremonies. Chloe Zhao won. Someone else won. I forget her name. They've won the last two best directors sort of awards at the last two Oscars. What do you mean shut out again? They fucking won the last two. Doesn't make any fucking sense. Beatrice, Verhoeven, what are you talking about? Sometimes you're not going to get nominated. Sometimes there is other candidates that have done a better job than you and they get recognised instead of you. And it shouldn't really matter at a movie awards show what genitalia you've got, what gender you are. It's really about the art and what you've produced. The best films and the best directors get nominated within that calendar year. That's really what it should be about. And I find it quite sad that every year we're looking to go out of our way to be offended and find reason to fill column spaces about utter inane bollocks. I mean, I'm not doing down the trials and tribulations of female filmmakers, writers, directors. In the case of Michelle Yeoh, full-on Asian actors not getting recognised for 95 years at the Academy Awards. I'm not doing it down the trials and tribulations they have experienced. But sometimes you've just got to admit that the categories are stacked. They've done an outstanding job on their films, and you're limited with who you can choose. Mark McDonagh done an amazing job. It's a brilliant movie. Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert done an amazing job. It was an amazing movie. It's Steven fucking Spielberg. It's an amazing movie by all accounts. Todd Field, an amazing movie. Ruben Östlund, I've not seen or heard of Triangle of Sadness, I'm not going to lie, but he wouldn't be there if it wasn't an amazing movie. Could you shoehorn someone in there for sort of the sake of it to meet a quota? Sure you could, but it would be hollow. Why would you want to do that? Why would someone, as a filmmaker, want to be nominated knowing they're there just to make a quota and they're realistically not going to win? It's a fool's game, man. I don't get why they moan about this stuff every year. It's not going to change anything. And I would understand it more if we've seen this continuing snubbing happening over a long period, but the last two ceremonies have gave us female directors winning the top award, second top award. Best Picture's probably the best award, the top category at the Oscars. It's really strange, and this line down here, this actual paragraph down here, is perhaps the strangest of all. And just the insinuation that, yeah, you need to have females in the Academy to give us a female nominee. That really is disparaging, not only for the males that are there, but disparaging against the females who make up the nearly nigh on, 2/3, 1/3 of the current Academy members. You're suggesting that they have bias, that they are somehow part of this elaborate cover-up to not have a fucking female director at the Oscars. It's really weird, man. I read this and I was bamboozled. I'm like, why are we reading this shit, first and foremost? Why are people discussing this nonsense when Michelle Yeoh's just made history? Stephanie Zhao, or He Zhao, is one of the youngest nominees at the Academy Awards. It's just baffling to me, man. It hurts my brain, and I'm going to get into this again later in the show. The last topic, I'm going to get into this, a similar sort of concept. But it's just this perpetual desire to be offended in some way, and just fill column space and almost be, look at me. I find it really, really weird. And I just hope the best person wins at the end of the day. I don't really care their gender or what else is going on. I just want to see the best person win. And for me, that is the two Daniels, with Everything Everywhere All at Once. For me, in terms of actress, it's Kate Blanchett or Michelle Yeoh. For me, in terms of supporting actor, it's Ki Hai Kwan. And obviously, as best actor, it's going to be a male, isn't it? Because it's best actor. Oh, well, that's probably a bit of a controversial one as well. Probably Brendan Fraser. Maybe Colin Farrell. May the best man or woman win. That's what I want when it's all said and done. Just stop trying to be offended. It's fucking tiring. It really is. Moving on to the next topic though, man. It's music news. I'm moving away from the Oscars. I'm moving away from music. And I'm discussing my favourite band of all time, the Beatles, and one throwaway quote that's probably about 50 years old now. John Lennon mentioned during, I think, perhaps his long weekend, is that what you called it? The long, I can't remember. It was a period where he disappeared, did his own thing for a year. Buggered off to LA and had some parties with the likes of Keith Moon, I think, and Ringo Starr, and probably David Bowie. Certainly met Paul McCartney at one point. And yeah, he was a free bird until he came back to Yoko. And yeah, I've asked the question here, did John Lennon and Paul McCartney make the Beatles great? It's a bit of a rhetorical question, really, because there is only one answer. Yes, they did. If I'm being honest, they did make the Beatles great. They made up a large part of the songwriting process for the vast majority of the Beatles' discography. All of the greatest songs came from their minds, apart from perhaps something. Maybe My Guitar Gently Weeps, Here Comes the Sun. Everything else was really Lennon and McCartney. So of course they made the Beatles great. They were the sort of driving creative force in the band. But to sort of jump off of that, use that as a springboard, and maybe answer this question that Lennon kind of proposes to the universe again, probably about 50 years ago, because he's been dead for about 40 odd. He suggested he and Paul McCartney could have been the Beatles without George Harrison and Ringo Starr. I've says, did they make the Beatles great? It doesn't really connect. It's a bit strange. I'll get into it. I'll read the quotes and then I'll get into it. I just found this interesting. I've probably heard this 50 times before. I haven't watched the likes of the Anthology. But I just found it interesting. I thought, I'll fling this in and have a little discussion about the Beatles. After my sort of rant about Oscars so male. What the fuck? Even now it perplexes me, it really does. This is what I had to say. Let's say I think it's possible for John and Paul to have created the same thing with two other guys. It may not have been possible for George and Ringo to have created it without John and Paul. Okay. He then goes on to say, but that doesn't take away from the individual talents that they have. Ringo was a star in his own right in Liverpool before we even met. Ringo was a professional drummer who sang and performed and was in one of the top groups in Britain. But especially in Liverpool, so Ringo's talent would have come out one way or the other, and you can see that. This man got a #1 in the United States. This is the fucking drummer of the Beatles. Got a #1 in the United States. So, obviously a very talented guy in his own right. And I think this is going on to say, perhaps, no, he's not talking about George. I think he hated George at this point, to be fair, John. There was a lot of bad blood, so maybe he didn't even mention him. But he's continued, I don't know what he would have ended up as, whatever that spark is in Ringo. We all know it, but we can't put a finger on it. Whether it's acting, drumming or singing, I don't know. There's something in him that is projectable, and he would have surfaced as an individual. And I think that's the key here, realistically, in terms of answering that question. Could the Beatles have been the Beatles without George and Ringo, if it was just John and Macca and two other individuals who were perhaps not as noteworthy or overall talented as the aforementioned Harrison and Starkey? I think that's the key to that question, the key to that sort of scenario proposed by John. They're all individual talents. They would have all made it in their own way, one way or the other. John would have been a success. He was an absolute genius of an individual. Macca would have been a success, an absolute genius of a musician, melodist, songwriter. Harrison was a shy, more introverted guy initially, but I'm pretty sure as he grew as a human, he would have been successful in some artistic way. It was there within him, innate. And as John eloquently put it regarding Ringo, he had that something special, that X factor that they've made itself known individually at some point in his life. Would they have been able to be the Beatles though without those two? I think they could have, in the end, for all the reasons I mentioned like 2-3 minutes ago. The overwhelming majority of creative brainstorming was Lennon McCartney. The music was Lennon McCartney. The lyrics, the structures they were creating, Lennon and McCartney. You could have brought in a guitarist equally as talented as George Harrison. He could have fitted in there and played the guitar parts. And George wasn't really doing a huge amount of sort of individual song work in the first 4-5 years of the Beatles, 3-4 years of the Beatles, so he wouldn't have been missed in that regard. Obviously as a backing singer, a vocalist, actually an unsung hero in some of those songs. Some of his harmonies are stunning, but he could have been replaced. He was replaceable. Getting into the later days, it's a tougher question. Ringo certainly could have been replaced and was replaced at parts of the Beatles' journey. They went to Australia and they had a fucking session musician playing live tours without Ringo. He had tonsillitis, he got it removed. So I think the question is, yes, they could have been the Beatles, but would it have been the same Beatles we loved and still appreciate all these years later? That's a different question. Probably not. Because individually they all had something to bring to the table. Individually, their personalities, it seemed to be lightning in a bottle. That's where the magic happened. They all bestowed us with something special. I always say, and you could probably say this for any musical act, musician, band, but there's something about the Beatles, man. You split them individually, their sounds, sonically, you can pick the song out just by hearing the rhythm guitar, the lead guitar, the bass, the drums. You bring it all together, the magic truly happens. That's why I'm really enjoying what Giles Martin is doing just now. Martin, I should say, is doing just now with these remasters. He is using the Peter Jackson software. The sort of, I'm trying to think what the name of the software. I'll never get it. It doesn't matter. But he's using that sort of incredible AI sort of fueled software to remix these songs and present them to us the way they would have been heard if you were sitting in Studio 2 while they were being recorded. And that's when all the brilliance, individual brilliance of these four guys comes out. When you can hear the bass, you can hear the rhythm guitar, you can hear the drums, you can hear the lead, you can hear the vocals, and they're all distinct and they're separated. That's when you realise what they all brought to the table. But yes, they could have absolutely have been the Beatles without those two. Because John Lennon and Paul McCartney were, and ultimately, if I can speak, what made the Beatles truly great for the vast majority of our discography. George became fucking great. Ringo was always a fantastic drummer, underrated. But it's Lennon and McCartney. They are the Beatles. And that's why it's not really a controversial statement. And I don't really know why I'm talking about this realistically, because it's, as I say, it's a rhetorical question. Of course it made them great. And of course they could have survived in some vein without those two. It just wouldn't have been the same. I'm moving on though. Next topic's all about Hogwarts Legacy again. Speaking about this fucking video game. Speaking about the controversy surrounding this video game. Speaking about apparently one of the biggest video game forums online, discussion forums, banning any mention or discussion or posting about the upcoming Hogwarts Legacy game. It's roughly about 18 days away, roughly about 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks away from release. It's number 1 on the charts on the Microsoft Xbox Store, number 1 on PS5, number 1 I believe on Steam. This game is getting great buzz. People are excited about it. Harry Potter fans are excited about it. General gamers are excited about it. It looks like a really interesting open world game set in perhaps the most famous castle never to exist. And they've done a fantastic job of recreating these sort of Fife Highlands, wherever it is, sort of landscape. It looks absolutely incredible. I'm obsessed with this game. I cannot wait to play this game. But yes, we have this information coming in. I just found this interesting. I'm not going to linger on this too long. This is the end. I'm just going to end kind of giving a little dissertation, a breakdown on society and where we are in the 21st century, 2023, as a society, how we have kind of regressed as a society in many ways. We've went forward, we're more open-minded, we're more accepting, and that's a good thing. But we've also regressed in a lot of ways, and it's just basic things that, yeah, you really take granted as a human being, but some people seem to be incapable of doing. But we'll get into that. As you can see here, discussion of Hogwarts Legacy has been banned from popular forum website ResetEra due to the controversy surrounding Harry Potter author J.K. Rowling, who's got nothing to do with this video game incidentally. She has got the creative license of Harry Potter. She will earn money in terms of residual earnings from this game because they're using the IP, but she has got nothing to do in terms of creative process, and not involved in the story, not involved in the world building, not involved in the video game itself, the making of the game. That's Avalanche Studios, who've divulged 5 years of their life, blood, sweat and tears in recreating probably the most accurate looking Hogwarts you will ever see, and given us this really interesting open RPG. They're the people involved in it, they're the people who have sacrificed their lives, and they're the people who have been punished by this absolute nonsense here, not J.K. Rowling, who is a nigh on billionaire and doesn't really give a fuck when it's all said and done what people on the internet think about her, for good and bad, right or wrong. As you can see here, as reported by PC Gamer, the general manager of the forum, B-Dubs, released a statement from the moderation team that bans all mention of the Harry Potter universe video game on their platform. That is their right, fully entitled to do it. But again, we'll get into it, man. Hello, Mike. Welcome in. Coming to the end here. I was ranting momentarily about Oscar So Male. Really taking the sort of narrative, well, it's not, because no one gives a fuck about what these people are saying, but trying to steal the narrative from the likes of Michelle Yeoh and Stephanie Zhou, if that's how you say her name, from Everything Everywhere All at Once. And so what should be a celebration of Asian sort of voices and actors finally being thrust into the limelight and getting their just desserts, getting their dues in terms of nominations, and try to turn it into a sort of woke thing. I mean, I hate saying that word because I am myself probably woke. I'm one of the most fucking liberal thinking left wing people you'll ever meet. But yeah, going on about no female directors, them being shunned out of the Oscars again. They've won the last 2 Best Directors at previous Academy Awards. I found that perplexing. I found the whole narrative being created by certain people interesting to say the least. I had a little rant. It was tame by my standards. I like to dance a precarious little walk along a precipice when it comes to topics like this, because listen man, I've not really got a fucking horse in the race, a sort of dog in the fight if you'd like. I don't really give a shit either way. As I says at the end of my rant, I just want the best person, whether they've got a vagina or a penis, to win. That's ultimately what it's all about. It's about film, about art for me. That's who I want to win. I then went off and spoke about the Beatles. I lightened it. I imagined a world where George Harrison and Ringo Starr weren't part of the Beatles. Could it work? Could the Beatles have happened with just John and Paul? I suggested yes it would, but it wouldn't be like what we got. And now I'm going back to a sort of rant to end it, because it's about fucking Hogwarts Legacy, my number 1 most anticipated video game of this year. A game I've been probably wanting since I was like 10 years old, realistically. I played all the Harry Potter games, man. Chamber of Secrets, Goblet of Fire, Half-Blood Prince, even the shit Deathly Hallows video games that try to be an FPS game with wands and magical spells. I've played them all. Huge fan of Harry Potter, read the books numerous times. I don't really care for J.K. Rowling as an individual. Regardless of her views on the whole trans subject, I don't really care for her. She was anti-Scottish independence and that was enough for me. Don't really like billionaires or nigh-on billionaires try to dictate to the average working person in a country whether they should have autonomy and the right to take control of their political affairs. So that kind of put me off her if I was ever on her side at any point. So I'm not a huge fan of J.K. Rowling anyway, but yeah, this is fucking really weird, this ResetEra. This just seems to be the modern day world in a microcosm right here. We don't like something, so we're just going to shut off all discourse about it. We're just not going to allow people with a dissenting opinions or different opinions to us to be involved in the discussion, to give their point of view. We're not going to speak with anybody that disagrees with us, because they're bad and we're good. We'll just stay in our echo chambers and ignore them. That's not how things happen with humanity. You have to speak and deal with people you disagree with on things. You've got to come to common agreements. That's how you get common agreements. That's how the IRA and the Unionist side in Northern Ireland came to agreement, and we got the sort of Northern Irish Assembly, and we got peace in Ireland after fucking years, 30 years of war, bloodshed, bombings. That's how you make it happen, man. You get people who disagree fundamentally to sit down and have an amicable conversation. And that's much more serious than this. That's people getting blown up. 16-year-olds getting shot dead. Priests getting shot dead in the streets of Northern Ireland. People getting blown up on British soil. This is how you make it happen. By speaking to people you don't like. You don't shut them out. You don't create echo chambers. And you don't go la 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 la. It's like a fucking 2-year-old child. It's crazy to me. It's backwards. And I could not believe it when I read this. I literally searched video game news up and I'm like, what the fuck is this? I have to speak about this. These are adults. It terrifies me these people can vote. It terrifies me that these people are actually out there mingling with society. It's fucking horrifying how immature they are. The mod team has decided to expand our prior ban on promotion for the Hogwarts game to include the game itself. There will be no off-topic chat, no discussion of this game. She has been criticised for her transphobic views. I don't agree with those views. I don't agree with anybody attacking other people. If indeed she has attacked anybody, I've not really kept in close contact with her comments. I don't follow her on... I'm not on social media. I don't really give a fuck. I'm on it, but I don't use it. But yeah, I've spoken before about J.K. Rowling. If anyone's going to champion people who are different, people who are on the periphery of society, who are a small demographic, then it should be her. That's what the whole fucking success in her career, Harry Potter, has been built off of. People who are different, people who are outsiders, being welcomed, having a place to be where they are at ease and can just, have a little happy place. That's what it's all about for me, Harry Potter, at least initially. So if she can't champion that, then we're all fucked. Let's be honest. But yeah, anyway, we'll get into it. After continued internal discussion, we began to start outlining the issues put forth by Rowling. Why would you? She's not involved in this game. She don't fucking care. She's rich. She's an author. She writes novels. She writes screenplays for movies. She ain't involved in this game. She will learn from the game, but she ain't involved in the game. So why are you outlining the issues put forth by Rowling? They're two distinct entities. Blows my mind. And the game in question, and each time, and as we discussed it all, we kept coming back to the simple fact that Rowling is not only a bigot, but is actively pushing in her position as a wealthy and famous individual for legislation that will hurt trans people. And again, it really comes down to the simple question, which is the trans issue one which anybody of a normal walk of life gives any real care or consideration to? Is it something they care about when they're going out and working? And I seen Asmon Gold do a great video on this. When they go out working as, say, a school bus driver, or they go out and slave their arse off for 12 hours a day, is it something they really care about when they come home and they just want to put their feet up and have a bit of escapism and perhaps want to be whisked off to Hogwarts for a couple of hours and play a video game? Do they really care about what J.K. Rowling, a woman who has no influence or involvement in this video game whatsoever, what she's had to say on social media about the trans question? I don't think the average person gives a flying fuck. I certainly don't really care about it, to be honest with you. I'm always for live and let live. If people want to make a decision in life, be it gender, be it sexuality, be it religion, be it anything, then it's their life. They're perfectly entitled to make that decision, and it's none of my business either way. Just live and let live. It's a very simple mantra to take through life. Live and let live. Don't interest yourself in what other people are doing. Stand up for people if they're being bullied and attacked and you feel it's harsh and unjust. But don't boycott video games. It's fucking pathetic. It's not getting your argument out to a wider world. It's not doing you any good. No one's really going to care about it ultimately. And in the end, you're probably going to alienate people when you're attacking them on social media for playing a video game. It's really fucking strange to me. And it's just the concept of a forum stopping discussion. It's really, that is dystopian fascist shit that we're really delving into there. It's deeply dangerous territory where you start switching off other people's voices because you disagree with them. If they're being racist, if they're being sexist, if they're being misogynistic, if they're being bad people, do it. Ostracise them. Don't allow them to have a voice. Absolutely fine with J.K. Rowling. Do it if you don't agree with her views. And she is a bit of a bigot, there's no doubt about it. And she's anti-fucking Scottish because she didn't want Scottish independence. So I kind of agree with that. But you can't switch off the voices of excited gamers looking forward to the number one selling game in terms of pre-orders for 2023. You can't switch their voices off, deny them the opportunity to discuss and dissect trailers, gameplay videos, the game itself, on the single biggest video game fucking forum on the internet by all accounts. You're doing yourself no favours. But let's go round it up, man. What is your thoughts on the topics I touched upon on the show tonight? This has went longer than I thought, nearly an hour. That's impressive. What do you make about Michelle Yeoh making history, the first self-identified Asian actress in 95 years of the Academy Awards? I believe, no, 95 years of acting to be recognised, to be nominated for an Oscar. What do you make about Everything Everywhere All at Once hoovering up the nominations, 11 nominations, the highest nominated movie, the nominations in general, who's been shunned, who's not? What's your thoughts? Comment down below if you've got anything to say about that. I didn't need to speak about Brendan Fraser, his fucking quote, his reaction to being nominated. I'm not going to do it now, it doesn't matter. What's your thoughts? And yeah, what else did I speak about? Just the nominations in general. Naatu Naatu, you're a fan of Triple R, should it have been nominated more? watching that song getting a nomination at the Oscars, that's history as well. It should win. Fuck Rihanna and fuck Lady Gaga. Naatu Naatu should be winning that song at the Oscars, best song. It's a great song. It transports you, it's catchy, it's earworm inducing, it's some of the best dancing you'll see from NTR Jr. and Ram Charan. It should win, it better win, and I'll be deeply unhappy. What do you make about the Beatles as well? I spoke about the Beatles briefly. John Lennon, an archived interview from about 50 years ago, saying that him and Paul could have made the Beatles without George and Ringo. He went on to praise the other two and say that individually they were brilliant and would have made something of themselves regardless, but he thought the Beatles could have been equally successful without them. What's your thoughts on that? Did they make the Beatles great? Share your thoughts down below. What's your thoughts on Hogwarts Legacy getting banned? All discourse getting banned at ResetEra, one of the biggest video game forums on the internet. It's all going back to JK Rowling and her transphobic comments. Are they doing themselves any favours with this nonsense? Are they barking up the wrong tree? Share your thoughts on that. Anything you feel compelled to share can go down below in the comment section. That's the place to put it. You can also like the video if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon on YouTube to get notifications straight to your eyeballs. Do the same thing on Twitch, follow button, notifications button over there if you're watching us over there. Fuck those, we've not had a comment from there in a long time, man. We used to get raided over there. I think people get wind of the fact that I have got no widgets, no anything set up. Did not even know when I was getting raided. It was a shambles. And I thought, screw yous bitches, ain't getting the eyes. Ciao ciao, as I think the Italians say. Schaus, as the Germans say. Goodbye, auf Wiedersehen. That's until the next time. And that's what I'm going to say, auf Wiedersehen. Thank you very much, mate, for coming in as well, man. Thank you for the comments, brief though they were. It does help, it just lets you go off. And yeah, in that case, do a recap of what I was ranting about. I'm done, man. Till the next time, thank you for watching, and bye. Well, they could have done the Beatles alone, but George and Ringo added so much here they did, didn't they? George did at the end. George was always underrated. He never rated himself as a guitarist. He used to go on about Clapton, as you've seen in that Get Back documentary, and it infuriated me, Mike, I'm not going to lie. This is George Harrison, he's a fucking Beatle. Eric Clapton wasn't a Beatle. Fuck Eric Clapton. Up George Harrison. Bye bye.